What's up guys, my name is Samuel Leeds and welcome to this week's Winners on a Wednesday, where every single week I bring one of my success students and they share their story. One of the best ways for you to learn is to learn not just from me, but also from my students. And this guy, Piers, he was actually one of the very first few interviews on Winners on a Wednesday. It's been over a year since he's been on the show, so I'm going to bring him back. We're going to see exactly what he's up to today and get a perspective of a slightly more established property entrepreneur. Dude, second time on Winners Wednesday. People ask me, why do I bring people back? Because you've got a new story now. When we met before, you'd only been going like 6 months.
Yeah.
And you've got, if this is all from memory, you tell me if I'm wrong, you came on the crash course, you joined the academy, you got some serviced accommodations, which were making you like $3,000 a month. Financial freedom, cool. You're still working on the business, but you're full-time in property. Life-changing story, and if anyone wants to watch that, we'll leave a link for your part one. But now I can't not have you back because you've achieved so much more now. Take me through it. What have you been up to over the last year?
Well, thanks for having me back again, Samuel. I think you've just mentioned what it was like last year when I first joined the academy, going to crash course, knowing you, to now completely different. Being more of a property entrepreneur rather than just learning the business. At that 2019 was, I think we got a chance of learning a lot more. Well, not 2019 actually, 2018.
When did you come to the crash course?
Late 2018.
Yeah, so just over a year ago.
October, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so then I think I finished my academy in, so about November 2019. So
but when you finish the academy, you never finish it because you have.
We don't. You
have the friends, the network, the education.
That never stops.
No.
I mean, as in the learning part stops.
Yeah.
But well, it doesn't stop. But you're still learning from your peers and stuff. But so the classroom thing's gone.
Yeah.
Let's go back into what I was doing. I was running a service accommodation business. Well, I am running a service accommodation business, but at that point it was just really learning and actually getting into knowing the deals and how to stack up and stuff. Coming down, I think, after my Winners on Wednesday, I think about Jan, in March, something a little bit different happened in life. Yeah. And that was my father got meningitis, got a little bit ill. Yeah. Ill to a point that he got into ICU and all this.
Oh, dude.
What's basically happened is at that point I had to go into hospital for a month with Dad because he was in the hospital, and we just sat down. I had a business of service accommodation, but nothing else. I was just sitting there with Dad, spending time with him, trying for him to get back into a normal life. And the reason why I'm saying this is at that point, I used to sat down next to him and I'm thinking, what's next for me? So in terms of, I'm sitting there doing nothing. And that's all started from a sourcing perspective. I sat down there next to Dad with my laptop. We used to talk and then, I used to do some work. And then that's when I clicked myself saying, actually, I'm sitting here doing pretty much nothing. And I should be making the most out of this time. So while I was with Dad in hospital, I started, in the academy, we learned to register sourcing business.
When you say sourcing, packaging deals, passing on to investors.
Yeah.
It's active income, but massive, not passive.
Yeah, active income. But the way I did was I sat down and I thought, what is in the market already and how can I be different?
Yeah.
And that's when I started deal sourcing, but as a bespoke investor club.
Yeah.
So rather than going out there, finding deal and putting into an investor list, I used to just, because of what I've done in my industry in terms of service accommodation business, I was getting a lot of people asking me saying, I want to start too, but how do I do this? How do I find a deal? How do I do that?
So they just go straight to you and get you package it up.
Yeah. So rather than doing also that, I sat a plan. So to make it different, really, to start up a bespoke investor club where I actually find a deal and walk them through the setup, showing them the business of service accommodation rather than being a sourcer out there who can just say, here you go, there's a deal. This is the numbers.
Letting people shadow you is a great thing. Yeah. Let me ask you about figures. So your serviced accommodation, your own serviced accommodation business.
Yeah.
If I remember, it was on about 3,000.
Yeah.
How's that going now? Is that still?
It's actually gone down for one reason, and I'll tell you. Actually, you'll be very surprised. So my first unit that I got, which was the block, I had a break clause of 12 months.
Yeah.
And the landlord decided to take it out and do it himself.
Okay. But you know what? Fair enough.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
He's now my competition in the same.
Yeah.
And but at the same time, I've got active income coming through.
Yes.
Sourcing, which is, like you said,
So how many
massive.
properties did you have? Like when we spoke a
So
year ago?
I only had one deal at that time, which is a block of 4.
Yes.
And that got taken away from me.
Have you replaced that with other properties?
I've replaced it with another 3.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how much are you making from your recurring income on the
At the moment, averaging, I'm 2,500.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so basically, because I think what people want to know as well when people watch these is sometimes people come on the Winners Wednesday and they've only been in the game 6-12 months.
Yeah.
They're doing really well.
Yeah.
People love to see people that have been in a little longer, like yourself, a bit more established. You've now been in the game a year or two.
Yeah.
And seeing that it's still going well, okay, you've lost that one,
and
you've replaced them.
And that's exactly what I want to show to people as well is, did I know at that point I'd actually lose that deal, a year later? Probably not. And, I thought I was going to actually grow. But that was a stopping point where when landlord went, actually, I want my properties back. I'm sat there thinking, okay, now I've got to think about business. And there's people out there, that's what I want to show people, that it's not just the goods of service accommodation. What are the challenges do we get in, and the setbacks do we get in service accommodation?
What's the biggest learning point you've had from the whole process of service accommodation?
It's a business. That's why, although it's a property investing strategy, I've also learned to run a whole business of service accommodation. And that could be, it's just not, opening a service accommodation, putting it in Airbnb and going live. It's all about how do you deal with your people, which is, who do you deal with? Sources, agents, your clients.
Yeah.
We talk about branding and marketing, how important it is.
I remember when we met at the Accelerated Coaching and Mentoring.
Yeah.
And I forced you to do a video.
Yes.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
I think that was your first ever video.
It was.
And it was around Christmas time, so it must have been a year ago.
It was next to a Christmas tree
You were sheepishly next to a Christmas tree, very nervously putting out a video. I was like, boom. And I saw so much potential in you. Yeah. And now, just seeing you as a person, how you've grown as well.
Yeah.
Because I think ultimately, you've said it, dealing with people, agents, branding. I think property business is a people business. Yeah. And people forget that. People think, it's all about the property. But actually, money always comes from people.
Yeah.
The property's a vehicle. The money's going to come from the guests,
of course,
from the landlords, from the investors, from the buyers, it's coming from people, or the tenants. It's coming from people. It's not actually coming from the property. No. And I think that's something that I know you've learned, because you've become such a great communicator. And I see you doing videos and putting posts out, engaging with people, networking. And I think, okay, you were making 3,000 passive income. That's now dropped to 2,500. You've got the skill, sourcing. How much are you making on your sourcing side of things?
So just in last year, I made about 30,000.
Cool. So that's like doubled now.
Yeah. So what I did was, the beauty of sourcing with Bespoke Investor Club is I actually package it on the way we plan the whole 12 weeks process. And it's not like just going out there sourcing and give it to them. Yeah. It's actually planning it, and that allows me to plan my sourcing business as well.
What would you say to someone who wanted to do sourcing?
Yeah.
What would you advise? Because I know it's something that we teach heavily on the crash course, on the academy, how to source. You've kind of found your own niche, and you're doing it a little different to a lot of people, which is awesome. And everyone is going to put their own personality on it. What would the steps be to someone watching this that's thinking, dude, I want to source deals? Yeah. Like, speak to them.
Do you know what? I think when I first started, it all fell down to a little bit of knowledge. That's 100% sure. I had a bit of knowledge, which is being in service accommodation business. But if somebody's fresh new into it, just go and learn. Yeah. Learn a little bit first. And then to be proven, just work with people around you. I think that's the big... If you want to call source with someone, do it for free.
Yes. What does that mean? So
what that means is you will work with somebody, you'll do the work, you find a deal on behalf of a... you've got to be a legal sourcer, obviously. Yeah. But you can call source with somebody who's already got a client database, if that's the way they want to go, and find a good deal, stack it up, work with a sourcer that can stack it again, and then send it to their clients. Yeah. And that's how you're going to build trust. At the end of the day, I've learned one thing in my sourcing business is my clients have trusted me through the process of service accommodation, and the results I've given them. the results I've got in my business helps a lot, because I can show them what I've done. I can tell them this is how I've done, and also show them that, look, I'll help you achieve that by with my knowledge, and source you the right product that you want.
So you mentioned sourcing a deal for free, which I think is really interesting, because most people think always act in terms of trading their time for money. Robert Kiyosaki says, actually work for free. Because if you can pass someone a deal for free, but that person's then going to go, like, the thing that you've got going for you now as a sourcer is you've got a reputation. You've passed deals, it's worked, people trust you. If you're starting from scratch, how's about package and pass a deal on someone for free, don't charge, but just ask for a story in exchange.
100%. And it will only take you a week to do that as well. It won't take you a lot.
And then suddenly you've now got a customer, you've got a story, you only need one testimonial to suddenly gain credibility.
100%.
You know, what about service accommodation? Do you have any regrets?
I don't have any regrets, actually. But what I do is I always think about, I think you've taught us in the Journey of Academy as well, is to think ahead. You know, like we used to make one step, you made 10 steps. And that's why I've now started looking at, you know, a lot of people have asked me this question about why have you not grown the way you should grow? And I think I wanted to bring this actually because when was it? Through my last Winners on Wednesday, I think in Feb, my newspaper article came out. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, so Aldershot Mail had my article.
Because a lot of news reporters watch this channel. And
if
if they see good stories, you got picked up.
And then it was actually headline on the front of newspaper anyway.
That's awesome.
So what happened was I randomly got a call from a property developer, local, I know of, and he said, "Piers, I'm seeing this. What's happening? Like, what are you doing now?" So he invited me for a coffee at his home, and I kind of knew what was going. And he's an entrepreneur. He's been in property for the last 10, 15 years. He knows property very well, and if he can make some income somewhere, which is going to excel his portfolio, he will do that. So he called me and said, "Right, I fancy doing it with you. Do you want to grow?" And I turned down 100,000 investment.
Why?
Why
did you turn it down?
So now I'll go back into, I don't know if you remember, I used to own a estate agent, joint venture with letting agent, and a joint venture went completely very, very wrong.
Within your letting agency? So you mean the business that you set up?
The business that we set up after 2 years didn't go.
But when we met, you were doing that, but if I remember, you weren't loving it and you wanted to do something different.
I was about to leave at that point, So
that went really south.
So that didn't settle really well. So I had to, obviously, from our perspective, we had to move apart. So I was the one who walked away from the business. And from that, I've actually, for people out there who want to do joint venture, it's given me a little bit of bad taste. Of, do I see, if I get somebody's 100,000 investment, how do I actually now put that in relationship for 5 years, 10 years? And that's probably much more important to me at the moment rather than just the money side of it. Because 100,000 would have scaled me to big numbers last year, very big numbers last year. Especially,
I wish you'd picked up the phone, bro. I would have helped you with that, because it's really interesting hearing what you're saying. I think the thing is, when you have a bad experience, it's a bit like if someone has a bad experience with a sourcer and then they go, "I'm never buying from a sourcer again, ever." Well, actually, you can learn from it. And then you can make sure you don't make the same mistake again. In the same way you had a bad experience with joint venture, then you go on Winners Wednesday, you go in the newspaper, some big developer goes, "I want to give you 100 grand. Let's do some business together." And you're like, "I did a joint venture before, it didn't work out.
I think it was too fresh as well. So that's probably where, now, I'm now coming out of it again. To scale up, we need...
Maybe after this interview, have someone asking to give you 200,000.
I've got to be sensible on that now, yes. But no, 100%. And for joint venture, this is where I've said to a lot of people now, please believe that it's just not the money side of it. It's the relationship, how both people can add value to it as well. So from regrets point of view, that's probably... I don't know if it is a regret.
I respect you for walking away from it, because if you didn't feel that it was your season, and if you felt like, you know what, I'm not in the right place to serve you the best. I know you can give me 100 grand, but right now, I can't serve you the best. Maybe you can go back to him though. And say, you know what, I'm in a different place. And, I think sometimes sometimes leaving money on the table is not a bad thing, because building a credible relationship is always better than building a pot of money.
Yeah.
Because then the money will follow.
Yeah, 100%. I agree.
So did a lot of stuff come from Winners Wednesday last time? Did you get a lot of...
Yeah, a lot.
How many views has that had?
Views?
Yeah. Do you know?
The interview had 21k.
21,000 views, plus all across the newspapers.
Yeah, all across the newspapers.
So you became a little bit of a mini celebrity in
yeah,
the
because
space.
I got a call from, well, actually, I also got a call from a guy who owns an off license and had that newspaper delivered as well.
Yeah.
So I was getting random call from people, random call from other business people who's read the newspaper.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was...
I think that's one of the opportunities from the academy as well. Like, you come to the crash course. It all starts at the crash course, right?
It does, yeah.
Like, that's where you're going to get bang.
I remember.
Punched in the face with knowledge.
Yeah.
Doors opened.
Yeah.
But then on the academy, like, what's the difference?
It says it all. You are now then holding accountable of learning into details of property business.
Yeah.
I still remember the first time we had, at that point, we had a launch pad.
Yes.
Yeah. I remember being a quadrant, Q1, Q2, Q3, you set some goals up. And do you know what? What a clear picture that was.
Yeah.
I still had it in my whiteboard. Yeah. You know, I went home, put it on the whiteboard, and till end of 2019, I still had it. I actually took it off literally at the end of the year.
Yeah.
Because I think I'd say about 90% of the goals were achieved. The only one that I didn't achieve, which you're probably going to be upset of, was doing a joint venture with someone.
Oh, yeah.
You put that as well,
but someone offered to do it as well. That's crazy. That was the one thing.
Yeah.
Because I said to you, I wanted you to get financially free from rent to service accommodation, which you did.
Yeah.
Deal sourcing to build up extra cash flow to then invest into property, and then joint venture with someone.
Joint venture, that was the one which I didn't achieve.
So what are your plans in 2020?
So I think about September, August time, I've been looking at some buy refurbish refinance program.
Cool.
Buying and actually doing it. So we've got a pot of money now, which we might be able to start ourselves. Not a lot, but 35.
Okay, that's cool. Wait, it's 35 grand more than you had when you started.
Yeah. So a bit of pot of money that I can work with. 2020, I think I want to also look at, maybe now think about scaling in bigger joint venture rather than, so for example, taking a landlord somebody who's making say they're converting a flat, say 5 or 10 flats, on a joint venture with them to actually turn it into a service accommodation business. So I need to open my, after that 100,000 investment that I let down,
it will come again.
Yeah, it will come again.
But limited amount of money on the planet.
Yeah, so the normal thing is I still want to run my service accommodation business as successfully as I can. I still want to source, give people the opportunity of actually understanding service accommodation business, running service accommodation business, and be able to tap into my knowledge to get some good deals. But I think the biggest challenge for me is to do a joint venture and scale it up into.
What do you think's going on with the service accommodation market? Is it still ripe?
No. I think good people will find good sourcer or good people who's got good service accommodation knowledge will still find good deals.
You just got to get the knowledge.
Yeah.
It's like with HMOs, people say, oh, it's oversaturated. Well, it's like, it's oversaturated if you do it wrong or if you do it in the wrong area. But if you do it in the right area, in the right way, believe me, it's not oversaturated, because there's people on spare room looking for new rooms in their dozens every single hour.
Absolutely, agreed.
So how can it possibly be oversaturated? It's all about supply and demand. Believe me, the demand is there. The supply is there as well. So how can we be better than the current supply? How can we find areas that are untapped into? What is it? Do you think it's the same for service accommodation?
I agree, completely agree. I think there is, in the last few, we probably know, in the last few months, or especially in 2019, there's a huge growth in service accommodation business. Yeah. A special thanks to you, I guess.
Probably.
I know, 100%.
Probably.
It is true. And, a lot of people have got an opportunity to run service accommodation business. But at that same time, when people say, oh, I'm a little bit worried about now, what do I do? Is it the right thing to invest? It's like any business. There's a coffee shop down the road. There's still another coffee shop opening. So if you've got a passion, and I think it all falls down to, if you've got that interest, your mindset, your passion into it, and you want to start that, you'll do it regardless.
How do you feel about that landlord who you were making $3,000 a month off, turning around in the break clause and saying, actually, you know what, I'm going to do this myself?
Do you know what? I think at that point, I had to think from a business perspective rather than personal perspective.
Yeah.
Because from a personal perspective, I'm thinking, actually, you've taken whole rent from me, found out that it works, right? And then now you're
used you as a guinea pig.
Yeah, literally.
And almost exploited.
Yeah. And then now.
So, but from a business point of view?
From a business perspective, I looked at it and I said, things like this happens in business.
Yeah.
And have I got a chance to move on? 100%.
Yeah.
You know.
But you had 4 properties with him. That was giving you $3,000 a month.
Yeah.
And he just pulled it from you.
Yeah.
Like basically, and he didn't do anything wrong because it was legally, he had a break clause.
Yeah.
But really, he took away your whole income.
chunk income. Because at that point, I had other units, which I was very lucky that last year I managed to find 2 Airbnbs, well, 2 service apartments.
Yeah.
Which was run by landlords. And they gave up. And I found them either through Gumtree or OpenRent.
Nice.
I took it on.
Yeah.
And then I made it work.
Yeah.
So when people give up on units, I like to take them.
Yeah.
Because
they're doing it wrong, probably.
They're doing it wrong.
So many people do it wrong.
Yeah.
Because you know why? Because they watch a couple YouTube videos.
Yeah.
They hear a few stories.
Yeah.
They go and have a bash.
Yeah.
I'm all for telling people, go for it. Go
Yeah.
for it. But always go for it with the correct training.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, it'll be like getting into a car
Yeah.
as a 17-year-old
Yeah.
and having a bash. Do it, man. Go crazy.
Yeah.
Just have an instructor sat with you.
Yeah.
I think it's people miss that.
And that's where a lot of people, like you said, landlords had done it, but then they are starting giving up because the stock level of service apartments going up, and other people who know service apartment well are doing well.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of agents are putting properties back up in the market from landlords, and you can see the pictures. Towels are rolled up.
Did you see my Financial Freedom Challenge in London?
Yeah.
So within a day, serviced accommodation, rent to rent, I had an agent say to me, "I'll give you properties."
Yeah.
Like, how do you get agents to? Because you used to be an agent.
Yeah.
Now you've done the training.
Yeah.
How do you get agents to give you a property?
Do you know what? I think if you're there's 2 things. If you're starting fresh, then there's a little bit of challenge to work around it. But at the moment, I just call them and I say, this is what I do.
Yeah.
Service accommodation. And this is what I've been doing. This are the agents I've worked with. I've worked with Winkworth, Chancellors, all the Martin and Co's. I have literally, I'll put their name on the table and say, I've worked with them.
Good.
And they all of a sudden, they will go, okay, cool. Would you mind taking us a reference from them? I'm like, feel free.
You know what? Your first deal is always your hardest.
Yeah.
I always say this because once you've got your first deal, even if it falls through, it doesn't matter because now you've got your deal. Yeah. Now you can use that as a reference.
And that's it.
This is how I've done it before. Yeah. This is who I've worked with. Yeah. This is how it plays out.
Absolutely.
Are you in?
And this is where my current bespoke investor clubs, they're enjoying my service because not only they're getting the unit, they're getting relationship with the agent because they've now taken over and they've got direct contact with the agents. And I've told them, now if you find another deal, just tell the other agent that you've worked with this agent and they're happy to give you some reference.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, you've got more credibility.
I think first deal is always the hardest.
Yeah.
And I think as well, people don't do business with you because of fear. If they smell that you're fearful, like if you're like, I've not done this before, but I'm just having a go. You need confidence, and I think confidence comes from knowledge, and that's why we put these videos out and we do the training. All right, top 3 tips if you were telling your 2-year younger or 18-month younger self about property, getting into property. What are the top 3 things you'd say?
Okay, so the first one I would say, because I took actions, that's probably from a knowledge perspective. I should have taken action a lot faster. So in terms of coming to your crash course, if I knew I saw your video, I knew I liked you, I should have gone straight away. Yeah. Why should I waited another 6 months or a year to say, actually, I want to go to crash course? I've wasted the whole year that I could have gone back into.
So probably people watching this video even now have been watching it for a year and think, someday I'll probably go to a crash course. Yeah, no. And you just say, nah.
Just do it now. Because I wasted a whole 6. I think I remember seeing your videos probably 7 months from there to actually coming to our crash course. At that time, actually, you had very less crash courses as well. So I was one of them. I had to go to the London one, not the one in Birmingham.
You had to drive.
Yeah. I learned from it.
Yeah.
So now if I know...
And that was a massive turning point for you, I know.
Yeah, it was.
That weekend.
Yeah.
Okay, second one.
So that's probably the first one. The second one, use your knowledge to be able to action things quickly.
Yeah.
So now if you've got knowledge or you're about to get knowledge, action quickly. Don't sit down and think, okay, I still need a little bit more knowledge to do something.
Yeah.
So I think if you've got that ABC that you know of,
yes.
and don't think about the rest.
Yes,
Just go and do it. So
I love that.
So the first, just the best example is if you're thinking about how do I run service accommodation business, but you don't have a deal yet. Think about how do I need to get that deal first.
Yeah.
If it's just picking up the phone calls to agents, do it.
Brilliant. So basically, as I say, don't worry about the X, Y, Z.
Yeah.
Just walk the ABC.
ABC, yeah.
And then you'll figure it out.
Yeah.
So I love that because so many people are like, but who's going to pay the insurance?
Yeah.
And what's this? It's like, that's not your problem right now.
Yeah.
Your problem right now is you don't have any landlords.
Yeah.
Your problem right now is you don't have any agents. You don't have anything. You're
Yeah.
not viewing any houses.
Yeah.
So I love that.
Just action the 1% that you want to achieve out of that 100%.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably...
Interesting that both of your first 2 points, we'll come on to your third in a minute. I'll give you some time to think about it.
Okay.
but interesting that they're both about speed.
Yeah.
And I think that speed is so important.
Yeah.
2020, I tell you who's going to win. The fast movers.
Yeah.
The fast movers are going to win 2020.
100%.
And I put up a status the other day and I said, why take 12 months to do something that can be done in a day?
Mm-hmm.
And people actually tried to argue with me. They were like, no, patience. It's good to take your time. Sometimes it might be.
Yeah.
Like, it depends on the context. But 90% of the time, no. The fastest person wins.
Yeah.
And people mess around. You saw what I did in a day in London.
Yeah.
Anyone that's not watched the video, again, I'll put like a card up or we'll leave a link in the description. But you can achieve a lot of stuff very quickly. You can think about it forever. I think about calling the agent. And what will I say? Let me look on this house. Let me look on Rightmove. And let me think about this. And or you can just do it. And I think the people that do things fast, I mean, believe me, if you're a business owner and you're running a property portfolio, I have 42 members of staff. I run a very successful property company. You do now as well. You've got to make fast decisions. I'll come to a business meeting and all I'm doing is making fast decisions. I'm not messing around having conversations about hypotheticals and trying to put off the important stuff. The stuff that you really need to do, here's what people do. The stuff that's really important, i.e. making phone calls, putting forward offers, attending seminars, that really important stuff, people don't do that. And instead they do other stuff instead, which makes them feel good.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, well, I'm being busy. No, you're a busy fool.
Yeah.
You need to just do this. So, love that. All right, point 3.
Point 3, I'd say, just a few... now I think from a business perspective quite a lot, is if you really want to do something and you see there's a potential in it, think about the 3 years and 5 years, and if that ticks off both the box that you want to see yourself in, again, take actions.
Yeah.
Just literally take action.
Yeah. And I think another thing as well, I'll add a point 4 to that, is branding. Yeah. Tell the world you're a property investor. That's rule number 1. I said this to you. Yeah. That's rule number 1. Tell the world what you're doing because people think, I'm going to do it secretly. And then when I get some success, then I'll tell people because I don't want to tell them up front because then I'll look stupid if it doesn't happen. Yeah. But actually what they don't realize is that when you speak it out, you speak it into existence. And when you begin to get deals and success, you need to tell people you've branded yourself really, really well. What happened, what would you say to people that are successful? Because believe me, I have to drag people on Winners Wednesday. There's so many people that are financially free and they're like, I don't want to go on Winners Wednesday because I don't want my family to come for me for money. Or because I'm not very good on camera. Yeah. Or I don't think my story, I know I'm making $4,000 a month, but I don't think my story is powerful enough. Yeah. And I'm like, serious, you don't realize that when you put yourself out there and come on Winners Wednesday, actually what's going to happen is you're going to snowball the success. Yeah. So what would you say to people like that?
Oh, I mean, one thing I know about, my journey has been, the reason where in the last 18 months got all this opportunities is through my branding and marketing. Yeah. Being able to come into Winners on Wednesday, I think I was the 5th or the 6th one.
Were you?
Yeah, the very first one. So at that point, I still remember when you said, Piers, you got to come in. I was like, no.
You didn't want to?
I didn't want to. Yeah, I still remember. Wolverhampton office, I'm like, Samuel, I'm not ready for it. You're like, just do it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That that actually gave me an opportunity of actually growing my business. Because after that video, I went and did 100 other videos.
Right.
Yeah. So
I love that.
And that was my breaking point of being in a video, actually.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've done loads of videos. I did a free, I think one of the successful video I had was obviously we've been taught in Academy to give value.
Yeah.
So I did a free Google My Business for service apartment video, posted on Service Accommodation Network, and I had over 2K views, all organic, 400-500 people commenting.
But you know what as well that you've got going for you, which I think is really good. Some people, when they become successful and they start making money from property, they don't want other people to compete with them. So they'll keep it really quiet, okay? And I even have this. People come on the crash course, go through the academy, they become financially free, and then suddenly they're like, Samuel, I think you should start charging people for the crash course. I don't think you should. Samuel, why don't you hold back a bit on YouTube? And the truth is their heart, their spirit is a competitive spirit, and they don't want other people to succeed. Just because, but then it's like, well, hold on, if it wasn't for the free crash course and the YouTube videos, you wouldn't be where you're at.
Yeah.
Whereas your heart and your spirit is to see people succeed, and you've had a rippling effect throughout the academy. You've done really well. It's great to see. I'm sure people will be really glad to see that you're still doing well. You're still making money. What would be the kind of like the final pieces of advice, encouragement that you'd give to people that are just getting started in their journey?
Yeah. So I think I said this in my first interview as well. Is where if I'd never had gone back and took all these actions of going and getting those knowledge first of all, I would have never been where I am today.
Yeah.
And that's not just, you've opened my mind to learn more. Just not be property industry or be anything branding and marketing. I'm quite, at the moment I like branding and marketing. I'm learning that as well. And what I've seen at the moment is be open to learning.
Yeah.
And be open to actually look forward to your growth. If it means you find a mentor and that you want to pay them and actually get them, train you to get the right knowledge in short space of time, you do it.
Yeah.
And that's probably the biggest thing I can give anyone is just take action, get some knowledge, and just, have fun. I think that's probably what I've done in 2019. I've had loads of fun. Yeah. I was in Nepal for 27 days for my cousin's wedding.
Nice.
So I flew on the 1st, came back on the 27th, had an amazing blast with family, and it's all about, balancing it out.
Yeah.
But
the main thing, having time to do that, like spending a month in Nepal, having a blast. You've also had to spend a month with your dad in hospital, which is obviously the other side to it. But that's being there for your family when you really need to be. And I guess if it wasn't for your property income, that wouldn't have been possible.
Oh yeah, and you know what? I think that's where now I look at it. Dad's feeling better than ever. He's recovered and everything, but he's actually just retired as well. Yeah. So I surprised them with a business class flight to Nepal. So they had the blast of the blast. I'll show you some pictures in a minute, but to be able to do that for parents, that's good. That just felt good. Yeah,
that's a good feeling.
That is a good feeling.
How does it feel now? Like 18 months later, doing well.
Oh, you know what? I am who I am. I'm happy. I'm liking what I'm doing. But to be able to I think from a bigger picture, look at from what life is for family or things like that. I never thought I would be doing that in 18 months ago.
Yeah, I think that you're making 30 grand a year from your packaging deals. Yeah. You're making about 25-30 grand a year from your income. Yeah. I mean, for some people, that's the dream right there. And you can always find people that are more successful than you and be like, oh my gosh, I'm actually not that successful. But actually, you're how old?
28.
28 years old. I mean, that's a massive achievement. Yeah. So I'm really glad to see you do so well. And also look at what life could have been like. Yeah. Your business kind of failed. Yeah. It didn't work out. Your dad had ill health, different things. If you hadn't have had property to go to learn, who knows what your life would be like.
Yeah, 100%. And let's just, I think you probably agree with this, Samuel. If I had to take a month away if I was employed with dad being in hospital, I just said to my brother, I said, that morning, my brother took off. He's quite flexible with his work. But if I had to call my work and say I can't come because my dad's ill, they would really...
They'd fire you.
Yeah, they would probably fire me. And especially, at that point, I probably had to make a decision of going to work or seeing dad in hospital like that. So I've been in month next to dad, 6 a.m. until 10 p.m, doing what I like through my laptop and having, a great relationship we've not had for months because he's working, I'm working. To be able to bond together was, it's meant to happen for a reason.
And that's why I do what I do. seeing stories like this. I mean, I think you probably know. I don't even take a salary from the training company. I do it. I mean, the training business is a business, but I don't even take a salary from it, because hearing stories like that and being able to impact people's lives, and then see you go and impact other people's lives and have that rippling effect. Yeah. What's it been like working with me over the last couple of years?
Oh, amazing. I mean, you've been an inspiration. I've told you, I've not just looked at you as a mentor. For me, you're an entrepreneur, and to learn your steps and how you're doing things, what you're doing, it's amazing, Samuel. And thanks for being with us, really. Every student counts you for this. We count you for this, because you're always giving back to us, no matter what.
Dude, it's been great working with you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for coming back, cheering you on, and hope 2020 is like even better than 2019.
Thank you.
Respect, bro.
Thank you.
I really hope you found that interview inspiring, entertaining, and enlightening. So what is the advice for you right now? Personally, I would say just book onto the Property Investors Crash Course. It's free, it's 2 days, it's gonna blow your freaking socks off, and you can get booked on right here. Also, if you want to watch Pierce's original interview, you can do that over here. And please don't forget to subscribe over here.